that's what education can give you is also space and opportunity to pursue those things. And it absolutely has, without a doubt. That's one of my favorite parts of being at UCLA.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get to Be School. This is your host, Drex. I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you for taking this time. Today's guest is someone who's played a pretty big role in my professional development. Matthew Dumas was with me in the trenches over at Deloitte when we were doing M&A analytics. There were several members of that team that are true high caliber people, and Matthew is one of them. The whole team was great, but Matthew, he really made it a point to be a friend and a tutor. He was really good at showing me the ropes and being absolutely incredible on a few projects that we worked on together. So he's over at UCLA Anderson right now doing incredible things. His story is inspiring. He's doing a lot right now. So he's doing the full-time MBA program, but he's also working full-time, and he's thinking about launching this new startup that he's cooking up with his brother. So it's a fun story today. So stay through to the end. It's a quicker episode. Matthew's succinct. He doesn't belabor any points. He's punchy. He gets it done. So you'll hear it at the end, but his startup, it'd be fun to just, send him some traffic his way. So go to paceup.com. That's PAYCEUP.com. He'll explain it a little bit more, but I think it's a cool idea what he's cooking up. So apart from the interview, some podcast news, we're up on YouTube now. So go check that out if that's how you prefer to consume podcasts. I myself am one for the audio only, but the guests that have come on the show, they're beautiful. I don't know, it's not necessarily a requisite to have natural beauty to be on the Get to Be School podcast, but it's a happy coincidence. So go check it out on YouTube, put it on repeat, just let that thing burn and loop. So let's rack those numbers up, huh? Hope you have a great week. Hope you enjoy this episode, and thank you. Let's get to it. Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
You're great, man. It has been a minute. You and I, we met during the glorious period at Deloitte. We were on the M&A team together. Do you want to give the listeners a little bit of insight into how that was and then what you're up to since then?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we met at the mergers and acquisitions data analytics team. We were doing data analytics for private equity. And I think we both had a similar experience. The people, wonderful, very overwhelming work, very detailed, and you're by yourself in a hole in your house. And so that was a lot.
So often I would join calls and Matthew would be at any spare moment. This guy was studying so hard for the test. He'd have his little dry erase board just grinding through practice questions.
I studied an impossible amount for the GMAT, and most of that had to do with anxiety, and it was just not feeling like I hadn't taken an actual standardized test in years and just panicking for it. I feel like I didn't even get the return on all that studying was not what it should have been. I didn't get as good of a score as I wanted to get, for sure. I got a good score. Like I said, I got a 720 in the GMAT, and
it's amazing.
It was good, but a year of intense studying in a back room in my house. I feel like some other people would have seen better returns, for sure.
Can you give the listeners a little bit of insight into where you are now, what you're up to? We'll dig into the details, but give the listeners a chance to meet you.
Yeah. So after Deloitte, I quit Deloitte probably 2 weeks after getting accepted to UCLA Anderson, which was one of 3 schools that I applied to. I quit 2 weeks after. I interned for a company that I happen to still be with, but now I attend UCLA Anderson's full-time MBA program in Los Angeles. I live in Santa Monica. It's been a good experience, but like I said, I still work full-time as well. So I have 2 full-time jobs, as you may. One being the director of finance at a consumer goods company, the other being a full-time MBA student, which is a lot to balance, we'll talk about.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to dig in there because one would very fairly argue that both of those are pretty full-time endeavors of their own. We'll certainly dig into how you're managing that. Let's talk for a minute about how you got into school. What do you feel like really gave you the edge? What do you tell people like myself? You were pivotal in helping me. You gave me study recommendations. You helped kind of just keep me accountable. I knew that you were studying, so I should be studying. What do you feel, though, got you to school?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of factors at play. One of the bigger ones was that I think I was a veteran, so I joined the Marine Corps out of high school. The preferential status of a veteran was, I think, really helpful. I got into 2 of the 3 schools that I applied to. I believe that it was the veteran piece was no small part of that. The other pieces, though, were a decent work history I'd done, and a decent focus on the things that I wanted to do. So I had done the last 5 years in various accounting and finance roles. I did 2 years in audit. a year as an analyst at Qualcomm, and then 2 years with the data analytics team for mergers and acquisitions at Deloitte. And I think like a focused track and like a very specific movements, but with like something specific in mind was actually pretty helpful as well. But then there's the GMAT. I think I got a decent GMAT score at around 720, which was pivotal and something that I had to work really hard to get. I'm not a great test taker, and so I worked really hard to get a decent score.
I think that's kind of the underlying theme of that response is both of those things that you credit to helping you get in are very intense, very time intensive. You studied really hard. You were very diligent in your career, the Marine Corps. Like there wasn't any easy thing. You were a Marine. That's amazing. Then you had these long, like these extended periods of time at demanding work environments. And you said, a year to study for the GMAT. So unfortunately for the listeners who are applying, the answer is pretty hardcore. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the time when I was living in DC and doing the job for Deloitte is one of those times where, when we were busy, we were super busy. But when you're not, we have these down periods where you're not staffed, where like I ended up studying very intensely. And so I let that it ebbed and flowed with my life. But secondary to that is you're right. I have definitely taken a very focused approach to pretty much all of the aspects of my career, including an MBA. When I decided I was going to do an MBA, I picked up the GMAT study guides and I bought like some books. And then I just sat and studied for a year as much as I possibly could. This is something that worked for me. And mostly it has to do with being just completely neurotic and needing to do that. I think that I overcompensate for maybe sometimes having a lack of focus with just pounding my head into books. That's kind of the approach that I have taken to a lot of things, which, it's good and bad. My wife hates it, but
it works. So you touched on when you decided to get an MBA. Can you share what that moment was?
Yeah, I saw a career in accounting and finance, right? I have 2 bachelor's degrees from the University of San Diego. When I was going there, I did a dual like side-by-side program, and there's a decent amount of overlap between the two programs, but ended up with 2 bachelor's degrees. And I didn't 100% know what I wanted to do. And so I was like, I started in accounting and I absolutely hated audit, and audit hated me. I hated audit. It was a bad time. And quickly transitioned over to being like an analyst at Qualcomm, which was great. And I realized I wanted to further my finance career. But I think that when you're working in operational finance, people really need to be comfortable with the people. They need to have something that proves that, hey, like I can do this for you. A lot of your company is going to be in my hands. I can take care of what you need me to take care of. And I knew I didn't want to be like a banker. I knew I didn't want to be some higher level consultant forever. That meant getting some type of degree that I guess gave me that layer of comfort for people to allow them to do their finance, to do like most of their finance. I have the aspirations, which I currently am doing, of running a company's finance, pretty much what my role is now. And I can already see that it's helpful, and I can already see the benefits and like the actual resume, and people just assume that you have a certain level of expertise when you have an MBA, and it helps a lot. That was part of, sorry, I should get back to the original point. That was part of the decision, is knowing that I was going to need a further, like something to pad not just experience, but to show a level of expertise. And that was part of the decision.
Makes sense. When you say that was part of the decision, was there more to the part of the decision?
Yeah, I think that it gives you flexibility. I really love education. I love learning, and it's an opportunity to do it for 2 years. And I have this job that allows me flexibility. And so I'm here at this MBA learning an immense amount from the school, but also I'm taking this as time to learn things that I want to learn for just myself. And so that's what education can give you is also space and opportunity to pursue those things. And it absolutely has, without a doubt. That's one of my favorite parts of being at UCLA.
I agree wholeheartedly with that same sentiment. Maybe that is a good transition then to your time there now. Can you give us a run through of how it's going? I know that the MBA has taken a different amount of attention than you anticipated.
The actual like education piece of the MBA has taken less focus than I anticipated. Don't get me wrong, I'm not like some model student. I'm not getting straight A's. But I think I realized when I got to the MBA that there's not like some deep layer that you're going into finance, right? You can do that to a certain extent with the MBA. But if you really wanted to get deeper into the finance focus, I might get a master's in financial engineering. Or if like I wanted to get some like crazy focus into, I don't know, data science, I probably should go get a master's in data science or something like that. The MBA is a much more broad topic, and having that bachelor's in accounting and finance already, I find that I'm having to supplement my education with things that I wanted to learn about, like off hours, mostly because it's not giving me all of the depth that I was hoping it did. And that would be one of my main complaints, is that the actual rigor of the education is not quite as strenuous as I thought it was going to be.
Interesting. And not surprising, though, that is a drawback for you. So how do you supplement it?
I've always done this, but when I was at Deloitte, right, the thing I was doing then was the GMAT for most part, but I also have spent the last like 5 years teaching myself software design and like coding. So now what that's kind of taken a look into is like more complex data science topics that I'm teaching myself on the side. So I have a lot of opportunity to use a lot of accounting and finance data to do corporate finance in a more, I would say, maybe like future-proofed way. I'm teaching myself with some of the concepts I got from the MBA, some of the data that I get from the company that I run, how to like stand up my own server, create an actual data repository for the data we have at Lucy, and make automated like finance a part of my job there. And I would say like the way that I treated the GMAT is kind of the way that I'm treating this kind of thing. I'm doing things that I attempt to be productive and learn something new while supplementing both my corporate finance job and the MBA, the places where I'm not really getting what I needed out of the MBA. And that's the kind of thing that I think everybody should do. It's the best. It's fun. And it's a way to learn extremely specific things that I have wanted to teach myself.
Amazing. I think that's very admirable, and it speaks to what you truly do want to accomplish.
Matthew, which way do we go now? Do we talk about how you are balancing work and school, or do we pivot to your awesome summer plans,
Which I am curious to hear about with the grant.
We can touch on that. I want to make sure that I keep it for your audience. I know that you have a specific thing here, and it's how we got to the MBA and what the MBAs are like. I would love to talk more about UCLA. I would love to talk more about like the path to getting here, not just banging my head into books. UCLA is great, and I have been having a ton of fun. The people are everybody's a blast, and they're kind and they're intelligent, and the peer group is always going to be the best part of an MBA. So you can tell me, I'm curious to see how Kellogg's handled
then 100% it's about the people. It's interesting because I'm doing the evening courses. And so you have to be really intentional with getting that interpersonal connection. And fortunately, even though, I'm in that environment, the connections still happen. The people are amazing. What are you doing with these classmates? I know that trips are a big part of the MBA program sometimes, or just activities together. How are you filling that bucket for you at Anderson?
I'll say what I have to do. Trips are a big part of it, and everybody's going on a lot of trips. Not me, unfortunately.
Okay.
So there are clear drawbacks that happen because of having the job and having the MBA. Like if I'm not doing my MBA, I'm working. I've got to take care of things at Lucy, and so that means that I'm not cutting town for ski weekends very often. But my experience is not the norm there. The full-time MBA program is as far as I can tell from the people that are maximizing their time, is constant travel and having a blast all the time. They seem to be going somewhere new every weekend. So that's a big part of it. South Africa, Japan, Brazil, these are all school trips that they've taken together. And that I haven't been on. I've got a wife and a dog and a cat that keep me from going to South Africa, Japan, and Brazil. But mostly that's just an excuse mostly because I would love to. I signed up for too much and now I can't go. But yeah, that's the typical thing. So that's what I've had to give up. But I will say the things that I do to connect with my classmates has just been, I go to class, which is maybe sometimes abnormal for an MBA student. And I do projects. We do a lot of group work. So there's a lot of that. But also I did a pitch competition with two of my classmates who are incredibly brilliant. And we got second, which was an amazing experience. And so it's about, you got to make time for the things that you want to do. But it's been no shortage of opportunities to connect with my classmates.
Good. I'm glad. Now that you're on the inside looking out, talk to someone in the opposite seat. What are you sharing when someone says, hey, should I go get an MBA? Should I go to Anderson? What's your advice?
Yeah, I think that I ask them what they're looking for, their current job. Do they want to completely change their track? Do they want to supplement their track with further education? I ask them what they're looking for. I think this kind of applies to a lot of things, especially when it concerns education, but you will get out what you're looking for in these types of things. And so if you don't know what you want out of the MBA, you won't know what to do when you get there. And so it's important to be intentional, but an MBA is also a great place to see the litany of different tracks that you can take. And you should have an idea of what you want to get out of it, but also be extremely flexible when you get there. There's absolutely zero reason that you can't. I know multiple people. Well, first off, I know a bartender and a history teacher who came to UCLA as a bartender and a history teacher. And now they're going into consulting, I think, or one of them's going to a tech company. It's a great way to pivot. But I also know bankers who were going to go back and then now they're not. Now they're going to tech companies or now they're going to consulting, and go in with an idea of what you want to get out of it. But, it's flexible. You're going to meet at UCLA, there's 300 people. Everybody's doing something different. And you're going to see a lot of different possibilities of what you can do while you're there. And so that's kind of the long and short, right? Have an idea, but you'll get to see so much that it'll be really cool. And you'll learn a lot about the different things you can do.
Then perhaps in the last few minutes, let's talk about you again and hear your take. Rewinding the clock 3 years, do you sink that amount of time into studying? Do you put all that investment into the MBA? What do you think?
If I could go back, yeah, I don't think I would change anything too specifically. I probably would spend less time studying. I don't think that like the reason I got into UCLA was that like extra 40 points I gained from studying that like another 6 months, right? I probably wouldn't do that so much. I definitely would continue to do the same thing. I wouldn't have quit Deloitte if I hadn't gotten into an MBA, and then I wouldn't have started at Lucy, and then I wouldn't be where I am right now. I would say I might do what you're doing, maybe like a evenings class or maybe like an executive MBA. I might do something like that. I might try and keep a little bit more time for myself in my day. That would be the only thing I would change. That said, I also might do some type of master's program that's more specific to my interests. As you can probably tell through the course of the interview, I have very specific interests. I like know what I want to do. Maybe like a master's in data science or a master's in corporate finance. That might have been the decision for me. I wouldn't know that unless I had tried the MBA. And so I might be saying the exact same thing, say the opposite. And so, yeah, I don't think I would change anything. I've enjoyed the MBA. I enjoy the people a lot. It's been good. Things are good.
I love how self-aware and real that answer is without taking away from what you do have. But let's continue on that thread then. You're here. You're doing an incredible amount of work outside of the program. Let's talk about that for a second. Tell the listeners what you have in store. What do you think in the summer? You have an awesome opportunity. And bigger than that.
Yeah, UCLA has an incredible program called the Wolfen Scholarship, where they give around 18 grand to, I think this year it's 6 or 7 people with ideas for companies they want to start. And my focus broadly at UCLA is the entrepreneurship track. A couple months ago, my brother and I incorporated a company. It's like a B2B software play. It's an order to cash software, which is like pretty boring. Honestly, most people, their eyes roll into the back of their heads as soon as I start talking. But yeah, I think our plan is to run with that during the summer. My plan is, my brother is a senior software engineer at Amazon. He's helping me on the tech side. The things that I can't do, the deeper, like I would say back end and server side work are the things that I can't really do myself. And everything else I've kind of got, but he is there to supplement where I fall off. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing all summer. We get 18 grand. We get to maybe hire some consultants and run with an idea. It should be a good time.
This is incredible. Okay, Matthew. So you are working at a consumer goods company that has its own very demanding schedule because you were running finance. You're doing an MBA program, but what your dream is and what you're doing outside of that somehow is you've taught yourself how to stand up an order to cash system. Like, I don't even know the intricacies. Like, you've built the website, I don't know what you built.
Yeah, I would say the website's not quite ready for public consumption. I've got the website going, but like I would say that's the easy part. We are currently in development for like our MVP essentially, which has some like key features. We're using just the most drop-in features to develop an MVP, right? We're using just Stripe's invoicing dashboard, and the product is meant to make the actual ordering and receiving and paying process of maybe smaller, medium-sized businesses. It's meant to just make it easier, and it's inspired entirely by my time at Lucy, where we sell large amounts of a good, and we have all sorts of problems with accounting and finance and getting paid and like all that kind of thing, which is all very normal for businesses. And so that's like one of the better things that's come out of it. Like the idea for this product is inspired 100% by the time that I've spent at Lucy. And now I'm in an MBA and in perfect opportunity to apply for scholarships and develop. And so it's all of the work and all of like the actual hours and time that I don't have this is like the kind of thing that comes out of it. You know, opportunity comes from just the putting yourself in the right place and being willing to work hard. And it's been great. It's worked out really, really well. And I couldn't be happier with how with this scholarship in the summer, I'm incredibly lucky. Also, I'm very lucky that my brother is a software engineer. Like that's a pretty good get. This is one of the benefits of doing an MBA, right? It gives you the time and it gives you the space to think about things in a lower pressure way. If you have the means to support yourself in an MBA, you have the ability to seize opportunities that come your way, which is the best part of being in education.
I think that is an awesome way to leave the listeners with such a motivating sentiment. That's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave off as well. That's the thing that I would most like to convey. So I'm glad we got it out there.
I am too. You've teased a little bit. You haven't shown completely behind the curtain in some areas, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch. So Matthew, thank you for taking this time, man.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to see you, Drex. Cut out all the parts where I sound like a jackass, and that's my only request. Sorry, one second. I've got my cat.
I forgot about your cat.
Yeah. No, well, I should say my wife's cat. But she was trapped in the closet. Our cleaner's trapped her in the closet. Sorry about that. We'll dive back in.